we got an eminent speaker and consulting engineer, Engineer P.Surya Prakash. He is the managing director of Satyavani Projects and Consultants Private Limited with us to explain about SOP for healthy and durable structures and buildings. We are very much proud to have Surya Prakash sir with us. He is a eminent structural engineer and consultant for several important projects in India and abroad. Engineer Surya Prakash is an eminent engineer, consultant and a mentor and made significant contribution to civil engineering. He obtained his B.Tech degree in civil engineering from JNTUK in 1986. He is a very proud alumni of JNTUK. He has obtained MS degree in structural engineering in 1990 from IIT Madras. Worked for 6 years as design engineer. Established Satyavani Projects and Consultants Private Limited in 1994. He is also the founder of Smart Infra EST, a trust dedicated to civil engineering to enhance employability and employment. He was President ACCI from 2013 to 15 and he is the founding president of PSI since 2013. Engineer Surya Prakash professional memberships are FIE, FA, CCE, MICI, MIRC, MIBC, MINSDAT, MIIBE, etc. He is elected council member of the Institution of Engineers India in Engineering Division for 21-25. He authored a book on design and implementation of communication towers published by ACCI Hyderabad. He also authored a handbook on SOP for building construction published by CREDAI, Telangana. Engineer Surya Prakash is a guest training faculty to CIRE Engineering Staff College of India, Hyderabad on CAD of transmission line towers. He is the chief resource person for LEAP lectures in 56 topics for Smart Infra EST. The FADD software developed by him won the ACCE CDE Best Software Award in 2007. He also received Eminent Engineer Awards and President Medal of ACCI, IBC, iFocus, ECI, Vishwakarma, etc. He organized many workshops and conferences, WISE 2004, PepsCon, A3C10, MECCon 2007, EIA, IS 456, New Vistas, Seismic Design of Buildings, IS 1996, ISIS 1999. He was a member of Expert Committee of Categorization of Seismic Damage Structures. He was Expert Committee member for AP government to review projects in irrigation, affordable housing and capital Amravati works, totally about 1 lakh crores. Surya Prakash participated in international conferences, namely Singapore, Como, Italy, Seoul, Moscow, Singapore, SEWC, Istanbul, FIB Congress at Oslo, etc. He guided projects for MTech and BTech students of engineering colleges, IITM, JNTU, NIT, etc. Trained about 10,000 engineers online during the pandemic. Engineer Surya Prakash handled several prestigious projects during the past 3.5 decades. Some of the projects he undertook include affordable housing, residential, commercial, office, IT, industrial, hospitals, hotel buildings, etc. Infrastructure projects like roads, bridges, metro rail, runways, hangars, logistic parks, leisure theme parks, stadiums, transmission line towers, FM, TV, microwave and cellular towers, providing architecture, engineering and PMC services. The prestigious clients include Ministry of Defence, Governments of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, IL&FS, Tech Mahindra, GVK, GMR, BSNL, Idea, Airtel, Tata, Saket, Manjira, Janapriya, Ashoka, etc. These are very few projects done by him, but numerous number of projects he executed, and he is a prestigious alumni of JNTU Kakinada. We are proud to have a alumni like Surya Prakash of our JNTUK. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and for this today's presentation, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So, shall we start the topic presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, thank you very much, Badam Sundarao Garu. It's my privilege, senior member like you, introducing me to such a good word. And today, very relevant and important topic that is standard operating processes in construction for healthy and durable building. I'll be presenting. As introduced, I've been practicing for last 30 years as a consultant in Satyavani projects and consultant. And introduction to the topic is SOP in construction. I just want to give a brief about it, why we need SOP. We see in most of the construction projects, there are many stakeholders during construction, like project execution team and the consultants team and developers team or owners, engineers and all. And without the standard operating process, there is always a discussion at project sites, mainly on tolerances, method of construction, and interpretation of the details and interpretation of need or portal provisions even. So we thought that it is very essential to document some standard operating process to begin with. And our company, Satyavani Projects, we have been implementing these processes in our projects. So we thought that it is good to share to construction industry in general. And CREDAI Telangana mainly approached us to prepare this handbook for SOP in construction, wherein my team of people from my office representing project management, MEP designs, architecture, civil and structure, we all sat together and compiled whatever construction process we were following and compiled into a book, handbook, which was published by CREDAI Telangana in the year 22 December. So with that background, today it is the first time I'm trying to share the complete details of what we have presented in this handbook. And as I informed organizers, this book can be obtained from CREDAI Telangana by writing to them and they will share the book without any cost. Because main objective of this book is to spread the standard operating process in construction. So today, the developer builder, there is a misconception. In fact, developer is the one who will be doing the development activity of a land, and the builder is the one who is constructing actually. So there are developers who don't build, but they can outsource the builder activity. And there are builders who develop and build also. So let us be clear on this terminology. And now, since 2017, we are aware there is a RERA, Real Estate Regulatory Authority Act, which is being implemented in all the states. And we, the professionals, have to be very cautious in adopting this standard operating process because there is a 5 years defect liability period for the builder and developer due to this RERA Act, and any complaint raised after occupancy, even for 5 years, it will be referred to the developer, and developer in turn will refer to the engineer, who either consultant who has designed or the supervising engineers or project managers who have implemented the project, and the contractor. So all three have to be in the same page as far as the SOP is concerned, so that when we implement the standards and with the proper method of construction, then the verification can go to the materials and workmanship kind of thing. So it is very essential to have this SOP in place for all the stakeholders, including the developer, builder, consultant, and civil and structural consultant, project managers, everyone involved technically in any construction, from small to major projects even. And construction standard is the responsibility of all the engineers concerned in the project. So I'll be addressing that scope. We have to define the scope very clearly in the consultant's role and the designer's role and the supervisor's role also. Ultimately, the asset creation is the real estate, and so the asset, the life of asset, the durability of an asset, and performance of the asset are very important. And whatever SOP we are talking today is mainly to maintain the performance and give the durability to the structure. So this is the objective of our today's talk. And today relevance, particularly, we are having a Srikant channel in participants today. Very happy to see that. And Karnataka Legislative Assembly and Council have adopted the Bill of Professional Karnataka Professional Civil Engineers Bill, and it has become an act, and which will be notified. And then all the engineers, civil engineers particularly, will have the accountability, whoever signs the document, the drawing or the design. So we have to have a standard operating process for that, which is very essential. It is the responsibility and accountability of the engineers. And so today it is very relevant in particularly Karnataka, and no sooner we will all be adopting in other states. So the council to adopt accepted SOP for every activity. So this is very, very important reference to Karnataka State Civil Engineers. Now, Karnataka is going to form a Civil Engineers Council, and it will be elected, and the council has to adopt a SOP so that whoever engineer is implementing the project, design, execution, and planning, so they should have this SOP, accepted SOP, so that if one adopts this SOP, it should be absorbed from that accountability for any defect, because an engineer can only adopt an SOP. I can elaborate more on the topic, but today I'm only giving introduction to that. And documenting SOP is to be mandatory for developer, builder, consultants, project managers, quality certification, and even investigation. We know, of course, we start with investigation, any project. So investigation, planning, master plan, concept design. Any problem here having network connection? Are you able to hear me, sir? Sundaragaru?
Sir, we can hear you.
Okay. So, my system is showing some network issues. Okay,
Yes,
no problem.
No, screen is not changed, sir.
Oh, not changed, sir?
Yeah, introduction, relevance now. That
Yeah,
is.
I'm there only.
Okay.
So
Okay.
investigation, planning, master plan, concept design, statutory appraisals, design development, procurement, tendering, execution, and handing over. These are all the stages in any project that we have documented SOP. And next is very, very important for us engineers, the preparation of drawings and schedule of drawings. Any project that we are going to implement, we have to have a standard schedule of drawing, whether it is in architecture, civil and structure, MEP, or construction engineering. And method statements. This is what I have started, in fact, implementing last 6-7 years, where I say that any drawing that we issue shall be associated with one method statement, whether it is excavation, backfilling, or formation of plinth protection, surveying or soil investigation, every activity, we should have a method statement which will define every step of activity, particularly in the current day quality of engineering that we are having. It's very, very essential to document every step. And the future is artificial intelligence. And unless we define this method statement, the construction activity cannot be monitored, supervised, verified, approved actually without this method statement. So we should all work towards having these method statements, and we have given these method statements for some examples in this SOP. The SOP purpose is to define the need for standardization of every activity. So concreting, reinforcement, shuttering, all the activities we have to have a method statement like waterproofing, weatherproofing, all the activities. Next is the quality. We have also shared some of the sample quality registers in this SOP book, where one can follow, if we follow these quality registers, the responsibility of the quality will be transferred to the contractor and not the consulting engineer or supervising engineer. Next is test plan. Test plan is another important activity. Quality testing, whether it is material inspection reports or material or work inspection reports. So we have given the samples for that. And acceptance tests, finally, after completion, any concrete work or reinforcement work, what are the acceptance tests and what are the formats? So this we have shared in this, so that the ultimate objective of the SOP is to relieve the engineers from the responsibility and accountability, so that if they follow this SOP, we are assuring the quality for the desired construction activity. So this is the book, actually cover page of the book for you to identify, published by Credai Telangana, Handbook on Standard Operating Process for Construction Process, and what gets measured gets done. So that is the theme of this book, SOP Handbook. And the book consists of general developer guidelines. Of course, today I will not be talking about that, the developer guidelines, and pre-construction phase, construction phase, post-construction phase, and annexures covering some standard formats. So all this I'll be presenting some extracts from the book. In fact, I am presenting the pages of the book with little explanation. So part one, general developer guidelines, will be on company firm formation and legal due diligence of the property, and statutory compliances. In this we have to have little knowledge. So I've shared this statutory compliances information because engineers have to furnish the details required for statutory compliances. And next is TS RERA. This I am not sharing because it is relevant to only TS, and TS RERA is available online also. People can refer to every state real estate regulatory authority guidelines. Next is the pre-construction phase. In this, the sections covered are master planning, market survey. Of course, market survey is not really relevant to us engineers, but it is essential. And conceptual design, value engineering, approvals from statutory authorities, local bodies, and design development, construction engineering, project implementation plan, and not project implementation. Actually, it is implementation plan only. It happens in the office. So pre-construction will go up to tendering and contract finalization. So we have covered all these steps in the SOP in pre-construction phase. Next part 3 is construction phase, in which we have given the details of quality plan, project implementation methodology, and construction supervision, construction methods, and good construction practices, and quality control, and safety management, and cash flow management. Because we are all, as engineers, we experience any project for the schedule to be maintained, cash flow is very important, and we have given the method of cash flow management also. And then post-construction phase, that is at the time of handing over. So what are all the documentation that is required for handing over, like as-built drawings or defect liability period or arbitration? All these stages we have to pass through for handing over. And finally, the handing over documents list also we have given. And operation and maintenance guidelines and standard formats for this post-construction phase also. We have shared in this. So now I'm getting into the book. Actually, I'm starting with the project implementation process. And when we are going into the project implementation process, we have to define the scope and purpose of the project actually. So the project success, to ensure the project success, we have to acquire the complete knowledge about construction process under 3 milestones like pre-construction phase, construction phase, and post-construction phase. Like, what is the objective or purpose of the project? Is it a high-end residential or a middle-level residential or low-cost residential or economic weaker sections? We have to take care of that. Similarly, office buildings, IT, general office, multi-tenant, single-tenant, and similarly commercial buildings. Any or institutional buildings, any building we do, we have to understand the scope of our engineering and the purpose of the building, and then draft these guidelines for pre-construction construction phase. Our SOP gives the guidelines. From that you can draft a specific to your project, whatever you are doing, depending on the size of the project and requirements and specifications of the project. Next is the functional requirement document. This is what we all miss actually. The client sometimes comes to us with some sketch of a plan he wants to build, and we directly jump into planning the structural frame and design. But actually, before we get into that structural design, even to draft the design basis, we have to understand the functional requirements of the project. It is a formal statement for any project. It serves the same purpose as a contract, like contractor's contract document. For a consultant, FRD is a basic document, and they should provide the capability specified, and they agree to find the product satisfactory if it provides the capability specified in the functional requirement document. So FRD is very, very important, and we have to insist, or some consultants call it as a design intent. So we have to understand the intent of the developer, intent of the project implementation agency, and draft this FRD, because they will not be knowing. We as consultants have to understand the requirements and draft this document. Next is the management of the construction project. So we have to, as project managers, generally it is the role of the project manager to draft this FRD and pass on to the design development team and define all the stages of construction, phases of construction. Like sometimes we have to divide the project into different phases. So there will be a master plan for project implementation also. And then after this FRD finalization and project implementation plan, then we will be going into the project development or formalization of design brief. So for the design brief or design basis report that we draft, the FRD will be the base document. Our design intent is the base document. So once we do that, the project is conceived through strategic planning process, and it is documented. And during project development, client investor identifies the need and assesses the project ranking. And we even like nowadays, we are having green rating or we are having a star rating of the project. And also we are going for environment impact assessment, and we have to draft all those guidelines in the design basis report. Next is the project objectives we have to define from the FRD, and we have to project life cycle stages also we have to define, and the stage-wise breakup of the project objectives, tasks, and various stages. Nowadays, the sustainability ranking is very, very important. I used to tell even in 2008 that getting a rating for the green rating for the project is not a crown, it is a responsibility. Now it has become compulsory. We are seeing in the papers, if we don't follow this green rating or green ranking or sustainability aspects are not covered in the design, there will be taxation actually for any export oriented projects. Like we are doing some industries and all, where if the product is exported, if they don't have this carbon rating, so they'll be having additional tax to pay. So the viability will go off. So we have to, as consultants, incorporate the green rating sustainability aspects to be built into the design basis nowadays. Next is the location of the project. So it's very, very important for every consultant to visit the project site. Even before drafting the design basis report, we have to understand the constraints, the accessibility issues, and all the things. So location of the project, of course, we have Google Earth, Google Maps, but still, as an engineer, we have, unless we visit, we don't understand the climatic weather conditions, and then accessibility issues, topographic issues, terrain issues, all that soil issues, materials availability, and surroundings challenges and all. We have to draft that location dependent aspects by visiting the site. Next is the master plan. So in the we have to have a master plan. Of course, the magnitude varies in the master plan for a small, even for a small project like 500 square yards. We have to have some master plan. But it may be a small document, but even if we are going for 500 acres or a township of 1,000, 1,500 acres, we have to have a proper master plan considering the approach roads, land use restrictions, and water, groundwater, surrounding lakes or rivers, canals, all the, and the hills, valleys, physical characteristics and socio-economic conditions we have to consider for the master plan, and then do the master plan and go up to the micro level. And we should have a dynamic long-term plan, because we have projects of duration varying from 6 months to 6 years or even 10 years. So sometimes we have a long ranging projects, and we all know very well the average implementation life cycle of the projects from conception to commissioning and handing over is 5 years. That is the average time period we are seeing. Even for private developer projects, which are even small, 2,000 square yards, 3,000 square yards, for conception to handing over, please check, it will be 5 years. Of course, there are some exceptions where there are fast delivery projects of 1 year, which we have, or 6 months even we have delivered also. So we have to keep this in mind, the timelines for fixing the master. Next is the method of construction. So method of construction, when we decide, we have to have complete time and cost constraint of the project, and also the location of the project and availability of resources, whether it is construction resources or manpower or technology. Like nowadays, we are not simply deciding a conventional method with normal shuttering. So we have so many options, even for brick or block work, we have so many options. 10, 20 options. Similarly, method of shuttering, centering, we have so many methods of shuttering. So we have shared those technologies and methods of construction in this book. And we have to decide the technology to be adopted depending on the time and cost constraints of the problem. And functional requirements in terms of built-up area provided allotted for each and every component of the building shall be defined properly in the planning stage. So the project design, defining the set of conditions, needs and requirements, establish an acceptable performance requirement of the structure, systems and components. Next is, as I said, design intent. We have to have a formal document of design intent from the developer or project implementing agency from the functional requirement document, and then prepare the design brief. Design brief is like which codal provisions we are going to follow, what are the tolerances, even sometimes in the design brief. For example, I have come across a project where it is a span is 100 feet, but the flooring proposed in that span is Italian marble without seeing the joint. That means paper thin joint, and similarly false ceiling. So in such projects, in the design brief, we cannot go by IS code serviceability criteria of span by 250, span by 350 for finishes. Because if you follow span by 350, you can imagine it is like 30 mm deflection in a 100 feet span. and 30 mm deflection after putting the finishes. You can see the cracks in the flooring and also gaps in the fall ceiling. So we have to have more stringent serviceability criteria depending on the finishes that are proposed in the project. Next is the positioning of the building. This is, it's not that nowadays we are seeing builders coming with the setback lines and fixing the building plan. In fact, we have to have all the options to get the maximum advantage and value out of the project, and also consider the temperature, the humidity, and direction of cooling breezes, direction of the wind, seasonal characteristics, and the impact of local geographic features, and impact of adjacent buildings, existing landscape. And so we have to consider all that. So it's not only for the engineers in civil and structural, but also the planners, whoever is going to prepare the first plan, whether it's architect or engineer. We have to have the complete idea of the characteristics of the site and decide the orientation of the building. The Vastu is, of course, another thing which I am not covering today. And the construction process is next important thing, because the construction process also decides the planning, like wall thickness. Let us take, for example, we all talk about 230 mm brick wall, but actually 230 mm brick wall will have 230 brick and 20 mm external plaster and 10 mm, 12 mm internal plaster. So the total is going to be 260 mm actually. At the same time, if you go for rigid monolithic construction, we can have a wall thickness of 150 mm fixed. So plan changes, the plinth dimension changes, and setbacks change. So we have to consider all these issues at the initial stage itself. Before planning, we have to decide the construction process and decide these wall thicknesses and centerline dimensions for the entire building plan. Time is another important aspect which will determine the method of construction. And cost, overall cost, including or excluding GST, is another important thing. And transparency involves the documentation in planning, procurement, project execution, and the documentation samples are provided in the annexures in this handbook. And quality plan, quality assurance, quality control, quality audit, quality vigilance are essential stages. These are all, of course, some projects may not have all these stages, but the intent of this quality vigilance, quality audit has to be there. It may not be different agencies, but the same agency may have to do these activities of audit and vigilance. Next is the safety. Safety is not a negotiable aspect actually. Safety of workers, materials, safety of structure, plant and machinery has to be maintained, and we have given the safety documentation also. So this is the master flow chart. So from the developer, we have the land identification legal, which is on the left side, and project conception, and then go for appointment of consultants, design consultants, project management consultant, MEP and other consultants, and then go for statutory approvals or appraisals, and then RERA compliance. And then after all this, we'll go for the appointment of construction agency contractor for pre-construction, construction, and post-construction stage. And finally, all the agencies together will go towards project completion and handing over stage. So I will be explaining each of the things. This is all available in the book, but I am explaining important aspects like project conception now. The first phase of the project life cycle is the project conception. That means start debating. We even had value engineering workshop at the conception stage itself. All the consultants concerned will meet together, debate, discuss about the design intent and design basis, and what are the components to be provided in the project, and we decide that thing. And the project management consultant at a broader level normally starts the activity at the project conception stage itself. That means the developer has to appoint the project management consultant before appointing the design consultancy. So we should be insisting on that. And this is a inception phase flow chart. Of course, I will not, we are all aware, but important aspects are preliminary drawings from the consultants and clearances from statutory authorities, then go for value engineering, and then verification of specifications, what are committed in the builder's product offer, and we have to have the bill of quantities, abstract of the cost estimates, and then go for the budgetary forecast, and then get the acceptance of the developer, and there will be technical discussions at this stage and the corrective action to be undertaken, and finally develop comprehensive integrated master plan of the project in phases. As I said, we have to decide the number of phases of construction, and then go for acceptable to consultant client, and refer to the consultant for any changes from the client requirements, and then go into the cycle and develop a detailed work plans and schedules, and then go to the formulation phase. So pre-construction phase, I'm going into more into the detail now. Site analysis report, what it should consist. It is mainly study of climatic conditions, geographical conditions, historical, legal, and infrastructure context of legal means what is the master plan, what is going to be future road width, and what is going to be the development of future, and we have to prepare the site analysis plan. And then preliminary inspection, as I said, site context, we have to visit the site and talk about the raw materials, water, infrastructure facilities such as power, water, transportation, roads, and surrounding habitation and surface water drainage system. Very, very important. And inspected structures, if any, to be dismantled, any old structures need, and relocation of power telephone line, and all to be decided. And then go for the investigation. After the site inspection, we go for the investigation survey. So that survey standards, what should be the grid? Is it 10 by 10 grid, 3 by 3 grid, or 1 meter by 1 meter grid? It has to be decided. And level contour interval also, 0.3 meter, 0.5 meter, 1 meter contour, and scale of the drawing depending on the size of the project. And we also have to decide whether we have to go for digital survey or manual survey. Also we have to decide. And so topographic survey scope and what are all to be provided in the deliverable of the topographic survey is defined in this document, like boundaries of the project site and contours of the project site, and topographic features, reference coordinates, reference benchmarks, all that, and already established baseline and benchmarks, and sub-baseline, all survey blocks 5 meter by 5 meter grid or 10 meter, as I said, grid also has to be decided. Once we do the topographic survey, we have to go for block marking and verification of block marking of the master plan, and then decide the soil investigation. We have the code for soil investigation, so we have to follow the code provisions of the soil investigation for the depth, and we draft the scope of the geotechnical investigation and number of boreholes and depth of the boreholes depending on the size of the project site and the type of the strata that we identify, and also type of the buildings proposed. So they all determine the depth of exploration and the number of boreholes and the extent of exploration, and we have to mark on the plan all that. So this is, we have given the depth of exploration, some extracts from the code, and footings, type of foundation that is expected, anticipated. Based on that, we decide the depth of exploration. So these are all some guidelines we have taken from NBC also. And so finally, the summarized exploration, building configuration, non-multi-storied, multi-storied, and high-rise. So based on that, we have to have the exploration, depth and width. And next is the groundwater analysis. So this also we have given the code provisions for testing various aspects of the water, because water we are going to use for construction, and water we are going to use for drinking in future for the project. So we have to have the detailed groundwater analysis and also availability, water source availability, and then source verification. Next is the environmental impact assessment. This is a very broad term, of course. For large projects, we have to have the environmental impact assessment. But for every project nowadays, ECBC, that is the energy conservation, which is very, very important, as I said, nowadays for the projects rating, sustainability aspects and green rating. So building envelope, heating, ventilation and air conditioning, lighting, service water heating and electric power distribution, all these we have to take from the ECBC code, and then these are all different buildings like hospitals, hotels, other buildings, what are the U factors for the windows and walls, we have to take from that. We have given for reference all these extracts from the ECBC actually. I'm not explaining that, but the objective is to expose ourselves to all these needs, and then we have to have these details incorporated in our investigation plan and design plan. Next is the HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So we have to verify the natural draft, whether it is adequate, or we have to go for artificial ventilation and all that, and unitary air, all these aspects. Of course, the actual design will be done by MEP consultant, but as project consultants, project management consultants, we civil engineers also have to have the idea of this ventilation, lighting, basically, so that we can coordinate and incorporate the requirements of the project and design intent of the project, the lighting level required and air quality required, depending on the project. Like a hospital, hotel, restaurant, we have the different requirements of ventilation. So this is all the pre-construction phase. Next is the fire protection and safety as per National Building Code 2016, which is another very, very important aspect. As consultants, we have to verify the plans prepared, whether they comply with the fire protection and safety guidelines given in National Building Code in the planning stage itself. And classification of the building occupancy as per the NBC, we have this residential, educational, institutional, assembly. For loading, we have a similar classification, and IS 875 gives the loading, but for the fire also there is a classification depending on the height and occupancy. The fire table is given. I am not presenting here, but it is there in the book. Next is the master plan, pre-construction phase, planning and scheduling, statutory approvals. So what are all the approvals required? Design and engineering, and then estimation and costing, tender documents and bill of quantities, and for floating the tenders and finalizing the main contractor. And even there are sometimes we have discussions with the client about this number of contracts. And that's also. Next is the finance management and the documents for land ownership, all that we have to collect and document. And the roles of the consultant is basically for an individual building, we have architect or engineer and his team providing plans and details, construction drawings for civil and structural, electrical, plumbing aspects. For a small building also, we have to have this method. And the supervision engineer is compulsory even for small project. So once we have the cost estimates from the design engineer, basically, we should have the supervision, construction, execution of the project. Then in multi-story, we have to have categories of the consultants like architect, engineer, and civil and structural consultant, MEP consultant, and then QS and planning engineer, supervision engineer. When we go to the high-rise buildings, large projects, we even have the independent engineer, and then architect and the civil and structural consultant, MEP, and QS engineer, planning engineer. So we are increasing the number of types of engineers. You can see consultant and a project management consultant. And for a statutory compliance, the technical documents that are required to be maintained are topographic survey, geotechnical survey, meteorological survey, like windroses and all. We have to maintain market demand survey, so that is for developer, and water availability and quality analysis, underground services survey. That means chartered utilities in the project side, environment impact assessment, including parking arrangement, traffic impact study, both including vertical transportation and horizontal transportation. So we have to prepare this, and then there should be consultants for statutory compliance who are normally preferred to be local, and there should be architectural consultant, civil and structural consultant, plumbing, electrical, firefighting, and so the final statutory compliance is consent for establishment from Pollution Control Board, and the environment clearance is required for any built-up area more than 20,000 square meter. And NOC from National Highway in case the project is abutting National Highway, and NOC from Irrigation Department in case there are rivers and canal, NOC from Airport Authority, Fire Department, and from Defense. Nowadays, you have to have the nearest boundary of defense from your project site also verified and get NOC from the defense, and railways, if the railway track is abutting the project site, and mines and geology permissions, blasting NOC from district collector, and nowadays for drone survey also you need a collector and police commissioner NOC, and water and sanitary feasibility reports, electrical inspectorate reports, license to operate elevators, and approved. Finally, we have to have registered document as builder or developer. The builder's license and structural engineer license and architect COA registered, and then we have to have approved construction plan and completion certificate, and after completion of the project, consent for operation, CFO. So CFE and CFO. CFE before construction and CFO before occupancy. And the occupancy certificate we have to obtain. All these formats we have shared. So design consultants, we have all the types of consultant, architectural consultant, and who has to prepare the architectural drawing. As I said in the beginning, we have to have the schedule of drawings prepared for all the buildings. We have just given the guidelines for that schedule of drawing for the civil and structural consultant also. And so these are all the minimum details that are required, and we have to prepare the number of drawings. And also in case of multi-story and high-rise, we must have the peer review of the paneled proof consultants as per NBC guideline, or IITs, NITs, or university local authority, approved by local authority. Next is the MEP consultant, in which we have electrical consultant and public health engineering, and then we have the drawings to be prepared by public health engineering, mechanical engineering, in which we have HVAC and firefighting, and then CCTV access control, public address system, gas supply, and MEP coordination, basically, because MEP has multiple agencies, multiple consultants. We have to have a coordination drawing. Of course, with BIM, we are able to do the coordination much easier. Next, in a specialist consultants like facade consultant, lighting consultant, signage consultant, and traffic consultants also nowadays for large projects, and cost QS consultant and the project management consultant. Next is DEPMC. This is what is I advocate. In fact, we have done some projects as design engineering project management consultant. But it means as a consulting engineer, there is a single point responsibility for the cost and time and delivery. Delivery, underline. Very, very important. Of course, quality, safety are important. So many people say that there is a conflict of interest if the design and project management consultant is same. But I say that if the responsibility of design and the project implementation is given to the same consultant, so they'll be responsible for maintaining the project cost variation within 5%, plus or minus 5%. And time of delivery also, there can be liquidated damages on the consultant apart from the contractor if it is proved that it is due to the, so like in in projects, contractor has got the liquidated damages, and same consultant also should have the liquidated damages. Like design build contracts we are giving, EPC contracts we are giving to save time. Similarly, DEPMC can also save time. There are examples of us being able to deliver the projects with the DEPMC responsibility. Next is the AC, okay, PMC if you want to separate, then ACS MEP, that means architecture, civil and structure, mechanical, electrical, plumbing consultant. Entire design is under one roof. So that is another good thing so that we can tackle the coordination issues. Next is the GMP contract. This is another thing which is already prevalent for more than 20, 30 years. That is guaranteed maximum price. So like there are companies who are basically consultants, but they take the responsibility of guaranteed maximum price. And they will appoint the contractor, they will appoint the design consultants. And so like project management consultant can do all the activities. So this is another broader scope of project management where client is absolved of all these coordination issues and cost management issues. So starting from FRD, design intent, planning, master planning, concept design, design development, statutory appraisals, and the cost management, everything is taken responsibility by this GMP contract. So this is the formulation phase flow chart. So once we have got the statutory appraisals, we have fixed the cost, then we go for implementation. Before implementation, we formulate by deciding the contractor through the tender documents. We prepare the type of contract, contract conditions. So this is a very important stage, which is the link between planning to implementation. So this is the formulation phase. So in formulation phase, we define the scope of the contractor and role and responsibilities of the engineers. In formulation phase, project manager, quality assurance, quality control engineer, and planning engineer, MEP engineer, project engineer, safety engineer, supervisor. I'm defining the terminology because in the SOP, I want to eliminate the word site engineer. Actually, site engineer is not defined anywhere. So that's why we have to call supervising engineer, project engineer, assistant project engineer, assistant supervising engineer, and junior engineer. These are all the terminology, and we have defined the responsibilities of these engineers, because when we sign document as a professional engineer, so who are all the assisting people, what is their responsibility? So you have to have the document built to support your responsibility with the sub-responsibility of these people. So now, construction phase, we are getting into the construction phase, like project management, planning and monitoring. So this is the flowchart of a project management consultant master scope. So starting with planning, costing and value engineering, scheduling, tendering process, quality plan, safety plan, supervision, coordination, project completion, and project handling. So these are all the phases, and in each phase, we have defined the scope for planning, like concept design, design basis report, appointment of consultants, design development, and detailed specifications, budgetary cost, and appraisals. So the planning stage ends with the appraisals, and then go for costing and value engineering. As I said, for large projects, we have value engineering workshops, starting with the tentative budget, with the specification control, quantity survey, value engineering, cost management, and bill of quantities, vendor selection, because the vendor also decides the cost and value. And finally, the change management, which is a continuous process during implementation of the project. Next is the scheduling, target dates of milestones we decide, but CPM, Gantt charts, and activity control, resource plan, procurement plan, plant and machinery required, and manpower required for the project implementation. Next is the tendering process, pre-qualification of the vendor, bidding process, base zero margin. Nowadays, it is very important in the GST era we have to consider the base rates of all the materials without GST. People are confusing actually. I have seen the budgets that have come to me where they have considered the material rates with GST and also added GST at the end of the final project cost for the contractor's GST. So we have to be very cautious in the GST regime, and competitive bidding is very, very essential in every small project also. Next is the contract management and contract administration. Conditions of contract are very, very important. We should not EMD, NS money deposit, initial security deposit, further security deposit, and DLP period, security deposit for DLP, defect liability period. All these are very important, backed by bank guarantees and all. Mobilization advance linked with mobilization. These are all the things we have defined in the contract management. Bills verification and condition enforcement. That means contract conditions enforcement. Any non-compliance reports or any liquidated damages to be applied, all that has to be considered in the contract condition enforcement. Next is the quality plan. It starts with quality assurance control. We have given the documents. I'm just giving the flow of scope. Quality assurance, quality control, quality audit, quality documentation, and implementation. Finally, quality in the drawings and the quality of specifications. And finally, the value of quality. So that is the next is the safety desired level, communication, safety communication, enforcement of safety, machinery adaptation, and manuals, prevent and protect, and monitoring the safety. These are all the aspects. Nowadays, we have advanced techniques of monitoring like safety surveillance, safety, even vibration monitoring and all that. Next is the supervision. The responsibility of the supervision team is cost, time, and quality maintenance, and the structured group, the documentation of the work happening, work diaries. Nowadays, we have this WhatsApp and software applications available, and communication, controlling the activity, methodology of implementation. That is method statements, as I said, for every activity has to be insisted from the consultant, from the contractor, from the vendor, specific vendors particularly. And the role of supervising engineer is to see that the details given in the drawing as per the specification defined, as per the method statement given, only is implemented. And the stage, every stage passing, 4 or green cards and are signed, verified at every stage, and finally go for billing the cost of the project. Next is the coordination between client, consultants, and vendors, drawings coordination, finance coordination, specification control, and the project on web, MIS on web, and weekly meetings. These are all the coordination activities defined. And labor and machinery management, material management during construction phase, like stores, inventory, all that. So they are all defined in the registers that we shared in the MIS, Management Information System, review meetings, and containing time and cost overruns, that is change management for time and cost. And the standards and codes, quality control reporting system, and time versus quality versus cost, and the supplemental extra items, they are not defined in the drawing. So the success of any project consultant is to minimize the supplemental items. That means at the once we define the drawing, once we define the design, schedule of contract, there should not be any change. So any change, if it is due to the consultant mishandling, there should be liquidated damages. Any change from the client should also be penalized. Safety measures, and then quantities checking and billing, project execution till completion is the responsibility of the project management people, and consultant, contractors, subcontractors, roles and responsibilities are defined. And this is the flow chart at the construction phase. So quality, quantity, and client requirements, and specification verification, and value engineering, even during construction it happens, depending on the time cost management. And so it's a huge flow chart which we have prepared and we are following up to handing over, like hindrances, documentation, MBs, measurement books prepared. Next is the post-construction handing over. So snagging, desnagging is very, very important. We have prepared the formats for this desnagging also, and as-built drawings and as-built documents for the materials, equipment, and guarantee cards, warranty card, and all that. And final account and handing over of the project, and defect liability period, and then arbitration. Actually, the responsibility of the consultant ceases only after arbitration and final settlement of the contract. Because in arbitration, there will be claims by the contractors due to changes in the design also. So that should be the responsibility of the consultant. Next is the project completion, documentation, testing and commissioning, snagging, desnagging, inspection, and final bill certification and completion document. So we have done this post-construction handing over stage jobs also, where we hand over the complete project documents to the society, occupants of the project. And so basic guidelines for handling fresh concrete, these are all additional information we have given: concrete, quality of concrete, factors which affect fresh concreting, IS codes related to concrete and compaction of the concrete, types of vibrators. This is the additional information in construction methods we have given in the handbook, actually, SOP. So what are the defects and do's and don'ts for quality of good construction methods, actually, and follow correct finishing techniques, casting and curing of concrete, compression, cube tests, and all that. Don'ts, and avoid cracks, plastic shrinkage, do's and don'ts. We have collected and compiled the information for the benefit of the people using this. Finally, if waterproofing, types of waterproofing and the extent of waterproofing to be done in the buildings, we have given the inputs as a standard operating process because waterproofing is mostly misinterpreted and misused concept, actually. It is not done completely, and we all know whether it is waterproofing or corrosion treatment, it has to be 100%, and 0.1% failure also is 100% failure. So we have to be very cautious in specifying the material for waterproofing and method of waterproofing and extent of waterproofing. So all that we have defined in this book, SOP, and for podium areas, toilet areas, retaining walls, and basement floors, terrace, all we have defined, and waterproofing methodology and waterproofing in the construction joint, all that we have given. And mainly these pipes, puddle flange pipes, and waterproofing pipes areas, toilet areas. Next is the most ignored subject is weatherproofing. That is the stormwater drainage on the terrace and ground, and thermal insulation, algae proof for painting specification, weather protection painting or weather shield, and plinth protection, anti-termite. These are all the things in the scope of a civil and structural consultant. Most of the times we are seeing builders appointing a structural designer, not even a structural consultant. That means the structural designer job is to just give the drawings and the design report, that's all. But who will do the scope of this civil excavation, pavements, roads around, all this is ignored. So we must, as consultants, insist on appointment of civil and structural consultant. So there is a MEP consultant, there is a structural consultant. Where is the civil and structural? So civil and structural consultants' responsibility will be investigation also. Appointment of topographic surveyor, geotechnical consultant, all that has to be done in the project. Otherwise, we are seeing failures during excavation, failures in the foundations, and the responsibility is not fixed. So we have to have civil and structural consulting. Next is the formwork. We have given the different types of formwork, tolerances in the formwork, and treatment of formwork, stripping time, very important stripping time. And this is the table we have given for the benefit of engineers, striking of the formwork and with the props, without props, with prop in position, with the prop repropping. So all these are the important aspects of the formwork. So specified strength to be verified. Formwork types, engineered formwork. Now we have conventional steel, plywood shuttering, acro spans, adjustable prop head system, MI1, or engineered formwork for rigid monolithic construction, aluminum design shuttering, Noer with Berry, Doka. They're all the types of formwork, tunnel form, table form. So we have to have understanding of all this formwork. And next is the 3D volumetric construction. Is a modern method. So we have also given the details of this. And special features of technology also has to be understood by the engineer, and the essential requirements of the technology for the availability of skilled labor, supervision, and all the pre-planning of plumbing, electrical. Next is the LGSF, is another technology, light gauge steel structures apart from structural steel, also is and composite structures. So all and sandwich panel systems, and we have given this EPS core panel system. All the features are defined in this book. And finally, rigid monolithic construction, monolithic concrete, and modular construction, and 3D printing. Of course, we have not yet given; it has not come into the general use, and the essential requirements of the technology. And last formwork are sacrificial formwork, like turn and decking, and all that also we have given. And good construction practices. So we have I have given many lectures online through my YouTube channel. So that is also given in the annexure. So they are uploaded in the YouTube and can be accessed. And safety in construction, like ladders falling, debris falling from heights, electric shock machinery. So we have to have the safety monitoring, and then project handover documentation requirement, and customer training, project audit, update risk and work register, settle all invoices, equipment and hire return, and warranties and guarantees settled. So flowchart for handing over is a documentation, warranty certification, as-built drawings, demonstration of services. That means we have to train the O&M team. That is, we are calling it LOD 7 in BIM actually. So for the facility management, which is after project handing over, so there will be an engineering discipline of facility management. Nowadays, we are having facility management consultants also. So presentation of all the documents and final accounts and handing over document. So schedule of documents, we are given operational documents like electrical wiring, earthing, architectural drawing, structural drawing, civil drawing, annual maintenance contracts, warranties, structural framing plan, firefighting plan, consent to operate STP, CCTV, financial documents. That means what are all the maintenance contracts to be paid, legal ownership documents, and other documents. So this is the final handing over note that we prepare. We have given the formats for the handing over and purchase order copies, and complex and surroundings, schedule of documents, property maintenance, details, NHA clearance, all the statutory clearances that we have will be handing over with completion certificate, operational document. And finally, the references for this book is the National Building Code and DTCP Telangana HMDA bylaws, ECBC code, and IGBC lead, Griha ratings, technical papers on concrete, Nuvoco, and data bank of our company Satyavani project, and data from AS Contech LLP. So these are all the references. So I have just given appended the annexures also. So in that, we have given the information about statutory clearances, building setback, permissible setbacks, all that. I'm not going into the detail, but the objective is to expose this book information so that you can refer to this book for the information and guidelines for transport development right and all transport development. TDR, transferable development rights, even that we have given. And self-evaluation forms for inspection, site analysis report, self-evaluation forms, and tender document, construction phase self-evaluation form, post-construction phase self-evaluation, and then annexures have given for all the bylaws and notifications of the government. And so you can go through these annexures in the book. And so annexures for architect certificate and stability certificate by structural engineer. And so this is engineer certificate format, and have given the formats actually. Of course, NBC also gives these formats, additional information, and this is the handing over documents, green building rating format, target, and how it is achieved. IGBC rating, GRAH rating, all that we have given. And then work order formats, architect, civil and structural consultant, contractor, and design stage checklists we have given. All the details, whether furnished, all the drawings furnished. This is the design stage checklist. And project quality manual, civil works, SOP finally. The survey and setting out SOP, we have given the routine survey and foundation construction. We have given the SOP, column service shafts and retaining wall, and construction floor slabs and staircases. All these SOPs, we have given the checklist and plastering and painting, block work, tiling, all the metal door or the door fixing, floor tiling, screed works, and marking, surface preparation, laying works of roads, curing, anti-termite, tolerances, granite and marble works. So idea is, this is not 100% I would say, but we have set out the standard operating process required, and we have furnished the details in this book, and this can be improved further with the contribution from other engineers. So this we have prepared in a short duration of 4 months from the information, pressure grouting procedures, and this is the test plan. We have given the test plan for cement, various materials like concrete in the field, test plan for aggregate, test plan for coarse aggregate, test plan for water samples, test plan for fly ash, test plan for bricks or blocks, and all details. Next, so that is the test plan. Now we have given some of the formats for stage passing also. Stage passing for excavation, stage passing for site layout, stage passing for anti-termite treatment, PCC and footings, stage passing brickwork, and stage passing for concrete, stage passing for reinforcement, inspection and dispatch checklist for rebars, material inspection, and painting work stage passing. And these are all the sample quality registers. They are as per the CVC norms, very useful, which I have been following for the last 28 years. So these are all the formats which will protect the engineer actually, who is signing on behalf of the client. Supervising engineer, if you follow this documentation meticulously, you are safe. In fact, it helped me many times in projects where I was questioned, but this documentation maintained meticulously and verified, counter-checked, signed by engineers. It will help engineers actually from any legal prosecution. Anti-termite, waterproofing, chemicals, special materials, consumption record, RCC works, date of casting of slabs, extra items register. So these are all the checklists for building maintenance checklist. And so we have given some of the formats for electrical equipment, plumbing, pumps, and all that. Finally, QCBS, quality and cost-based selection of consultants. We as consultant should insist on appointment of consultant based on quality cost-based. It is not by like a selection of a hero actually. It has to be by quality. So we have to have the method of selection on quality based on work experience and financial strength, technical human resources, and technical software that we have experience in new construction technology, etc. And also the project proposal. So this is the QCBS system which I have been educating in many projects so that the selection will be based on the capability and not based on the financial quote or L1 quote or referrals only. So this is quality and cost based. So I'll conclude my talk on this SOP for healthy and durable buildings. And so you can access my YouTube channel, Er.P.Surya Prakash, always. There are many lectures documented in that channel. And if you have any questions, if the organizers permit, you can ask questions or you can write to me through mail or WhatsApp.
Thank you very much, sir, for your excellent presentation. All your experience is reflected in your presentation, sir. We are very happy and proud to have a lecture of yours. And I request members, if you have any doubts or questions, please ask.
Any questions in the chat box, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. So I'll stop sharing now, sir, so that
Yes, sir.
you can see. Yeah.
Yes. Any questions?
sir. Surya Prakash, sir.
Yeah.
Pankaj Kothari from Akola, sir. Here.
Oh, good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good.
It was very wonderful and very essential documentation, and today's session is very nice.
Thank you.
It is very helpful to all of us. Your experience is so big and great. It will be help us definitely. My question is there some automation of the all systems integrated with each other? Because so many compliances are there, and if there is some software or app based, which is there any software app which will be helpful for us, billing and all things?
Some software like project on web and that kind of software, which will help us to keep the documentation at one place.
Okay.
And also this SOP, we can put it as a compliance at every stage. We can keep the checklists and all that. But it has to be customized, like SAP customization for every enterprise. We have to have ERP customization for every type of project, actually.
I think we should, on association level, we should work on this automation.
Yeah, now we are seeing like Karnataka is having Karnataka Professional Civil Engineers Act. Then the council formed in Karnataka. So that council has to initiate this implementation of SOP for every stage so that the roles and responsibilities of engineers is fixed and documented properly, and only when that process is followed, they're absolved of the responsibility. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, sir. Now, one question from Murali Ponnada in chat box is thank you, Surya Prakash Garu, for a very informative session. I am from project management community, more into software services industry.
Oh,
My
okay.
question is,
Probably can answer the Pankaj Kothariji's question about software because project management is the thing can automate the process.
Yeah, absolutely, Surya Prakash Garu. In fact, Pankaj Kodari's question, you have partly mentioned about SAP being one such software which can help in custom tailoring the software to suit to some specific needs of your industry. Not only SAP, there are other ERP softwares like Oracle, and even my company, InfoGlobal Solution, also offers a construction-specific solution. So there are such several solutions available in the market which can be used for the benefit of your specific construction needs, Surya Prakash Garu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Vikant.
His question is, my question is, how periodically the SOP gets updated? The fact that the construction sector is evolutionary in nature. Also, obtaining NOCs from government bodies is sometimes time sensitive. Given that the time is directly an influencer on the cost, what are the precautions that are taken to obtain NOCs in a timely manner? Please share your thoughts.
Actually, yeah, this is a very tricky question actually. And NOC is something which is very complex thing. The time limit, every consultant knows what are the methods, and developers know better than technical people. There are very rare occasions where NOC is delayed because of technical reason. It is always delayed because of other reasons. And also because of the change in notifications from time to time. That is a major challenge for the consultant actually, to keep track of the notifications of the local bodies in various NOC application. So that has to be kept in mind. Otherwise, time is not in control of any consultant or SOP actually. Time is in the control of the government and government officers.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Srikanth has a question, I think.
No, sir.
Srikanth raised the hand, sir.
Okay. Srikanth, sir. Srikanth, sir. Srikanth, sir. Okay, sir.
Any other questions we can ask?
Okay, sir. Can we conclude, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Surya Prakash Garu, for your sparing of time on Sunday to us for enlightening us on SOP. We are highly thankful to you, sir. And I am highly thankful to Sairam, who is our member, who has associated with me in conducting this program today. Our secretary Durga Prasad is out of station. That's why he couldn't able to attend. And Sairam has replaced his role, and he has helped me a lot in doing this. Thank you very much for this webinar to all the members who have attended. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. VP Singh Saab, thank you very much for attending all the way from Lucknow. And hope it is useful to you also, sir.
Sir.
Yeah. Yes. Somebody is there?
Yeah, VB Singh sir is a former chairman of.
And that I attended your in fact, and I have been enlightened. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, sir. Bye, sir. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. We are closing the session, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.